Back here on Texas football today, I'm Greg, that's Ashley. It is week 1 of the Texas high school football season, and it wouldn't be Texas high school football, quite frankly,
without Thursways.
That's right. Let's go to the hotline, Pickle. We are pleased to be joined by the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, the voice of the Texas Longhorns. It's our good friend, Craig Way. Craig, happy holidays, my friend.
You know, the last 2 months I've been talking about mileposts leading up to the season, like Big 12 and SEC football media days and the Texas High School Coaches Association's annual coaching school and the start of scrimmages and all that. But the final milepost that leads into season are the words, Pickle, let's go to the hotline.
Let's go.
Well, you know, it's funny. Matt Stepp said this a couple of years ago, and it's always stuck with me. He described like 7-on-7 and like coaching school as like the chips and salsa of Texas high school football. But Craig, it's week 1.
We got the Bontana platter.
This is the Bontana platter. That's what this is.
It is, and I went and I actually had the Bontana platter down in the valley this summer when I went to see my grandson swim there. So yes, I'm with you on the Bontana platter. You're right. It's great. I know coaches and the players, they've all worked incredibly hard to make sure that they were ready to go and staying everybody hydrated during the hottest of the hot. And the grand irony of all of this is that this weekend will be a little by Texas standards mild compared to what it's been most of the summer. Steve Sarkisian did his radio show last night, and he said, we've been preparing for a 2:30 kickoff in 100-degree weather for 3 weeks, and it's probably going to be 88 and rainy. So, but they'll take it, and I imagine most coaches would take that, other than the rain and stormy part, because that would directly conflict with Tepper's war on weather.
Absolutely would. It's Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, join us. Craig, before we dive into week 1 of the Texas high school football season, I do want to ask you a little bit about what you're going to be doing on Saturday. Saturday, a 2:30 kick there at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. It is the season opener. It's strange. It's also season opening weekend for college football. Normally, we structure this a little bit better, as the Texas Longhorns welcome in the Colorado State Rams. So Colorado State 5-7 last year. Actually, but an interesting Texas flair to their roster. The more I dive in, when you, as you're prepping and you're getting ready to call Texas and Colorado State on Saturday, I'm curious to know like what you're watching. What has stuck out to you about this particular matchup on Saturday?
When I started looking at Colorado State, I started counting the number of Texas high school football products on it, and I lost count. And then Jay Norvell, the head coach, took care of it for me in the conference call. 19 former Texas high school football players are on that Rams roster, including, of course, the starting quarterback, Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, who won a state championship as the quarterback of Lido when they beat Crosby back a few years ago. They've got several guys that have the attention of Texas, and that part, you got to be buttoned up and ready to go. Listen, we have only to look back at week 0 in Florida State and Georgia Tech to see that it can and probably will happen in some places in week 1, and the Longhorns just want to make sure they're not one of the ones that gets counted in that group of upset victims in week 1.
Okay, so on to high school football now, where there are 750 games scattered across the state. It's the biggest week we've ever had in Texas high school football. And I want to focus a little bit on some of the storylines I know you're tracking. On Friday night, because you're the hardest working man in show business, you're going to be calling the game on Bally Sport with our friends at Bally Sports Southwest, with Lubbock Cooper visiting Lovejoy. And I know you've been in the trenches getting ready for this game as well. The return of Todd Dodge is obviously top of mind, but in diving into your prep for this for this game on Friday, what have you noticed? Because the more I look at it, this is me. The more I look at it, I think Lubbock Cooper they've got certainly the talent on the roster to go out there and ruin the party for Todd Dodge and the Leopards.
Well, I agree with you, and I think both head coaches would agree. It was real interesting in visiting with both this week. Chip Darden at Cooper mentioned that the last 2 years they'd been taken out of the playoffs by Aledo. And he said that his coaches, and then there'd be booster club members and other ones that would say when the bracket came out, oh man, you got a tough draw. Oh man. He said, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of people saying we drew a tough draw. We want to be the tough draw. So their deal is to take an extra step. Remember, they've been to back-to-back semifinals when they lost to South Oak Cliff and to Aledo, and then losing to Aledo again in the second round. They feel like the program has grown up a bit. And in Devers, the wide receiver, they've got one of the best that you'll find almost anywhere. But he will tell you, and Todd Dodge said something very similarly, that they feel this comes down, we love to talk about the battle in the trenches. Both coaches see it as the matchup of the front seven for Cooper against that offensive line for Lovejoy that is back. And Todd Dodge will tell you, he'll be the first to tell you he inherited a really good cupboard there. It was not left bare, certainly. And in Dalen McCutcheon, an outstanding receiver as well. So I think those are some of the key elements and key thoughts that I'll be watching.
Another game that I know is catching a lot of eyes down there in your neck of the woods down in Austin is Westlake welcoming in Prosper to open the season. These are two programs that each have legit state championship aspirations. Westlake starting the year number 4 in the state. Prosper with an outstanding offensive line. I know that you're close with Tony Salazar, the head coach down there at Austin Westlake. When you take a look at this particular Westlake team, obviously every team has their own flavor, but we get to know these teams, as the season goes on. The more and more I look at this Westlake team, the more it feels almost vintage in the sense of like, well, they got that quarterback in Reese Wise, and that defense is going to be pretty good. I look at this Westlake team, and it might almost throwback version of what the Chaparrals could be in 2024.
Yeah, I agree. And here's a funny thing. When we had the conference call with Todd Dodge talking about the Lovejoy matchup, I was asking him to draw some comparisons to his first year at South Lake Carroll, his first year at Westlake, and were there some similarities and things like that. And he said, there's a few here and there. He said, but I'll tell you, he said, I like our offensive line. He goes, but it's not like the loads that we had at Westlake and what Tony still has. Mm-hmm. And in both areas, both on the offensive and the defensive side, that's where it can be punishing. Now, having said that, you brought it up. Prosper also is one of those 6A big boy programs now that is built up, and playing at Mary Hardin Baylor just kind of adds to the flavor of this thing. So I think that's a fun matchup going into that tonight in week 1.
It's Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Join us here on Texas Football Today, as you will every Thursday here about this time slot. And finally, Craig, it is time for us to renew a tradition, which is the meanest thing that we do to each other every week. I'm on your show every Tuesday down there in Austin, the Craig Way Show. You're on my show every Thursday, and we just trade barbs here. And so I will ask you, Craig, you can go to any of the 750 Texas high school football games scheduled across the state. You can teleport there, but you can only pick one. Let's remove Cooper, and let's remove right now, Cooper and Lovejoy. Of course you're excited about that game. Of the other 749, you can only teleport to one. Which one is Craig Way choosing?
Yeah, you're just as cruel as I was to you the other day, no doubt about it. It's funny. Old school me, OG old school me would say, give me Plano Permian, and if only for trying to see if we could recreate those two semifinal games in 1977 and 78. One was a 6-3 final score. The other was 3-0 off of that. This game between those two will eclipse the points totaled up in both of those games combined, I think. The old school me might say that. The mascot in me might say to go where you and Matt Stepp will be tonight, Frost Polar Bears, Winners Blizzards. That's just Hall of Fame mascot type stuff. But for me, there's really only one. and there's a couple of reasons for it, and that's Columbus at Cuero. Obviously, the two are state ranked in their respective divisions, very similar style programs. They both have had massive success. But remember when we were recording the preview show a little over a week ago, Aaron Hardigan and you and myself, and we were asked for players we were going to watch, and I said, there's been a lot of talk about Grayson Rigdon being in a Columbus uniform, being arguably the greatest six-man player of all time, or certainly one of them, and suiting up now in a 3A uniform for Columbus. I said, but I'm watching the quarterback. Mm-hmm. I'm watching Adam Schobel. I'm watching to see how the coach's kid does in a big-time game on the road down in DeWitt County, playing up in classification by one division. That's what's really entertaining the thought of for me, and I'm glad we've got reporters down there. We have live looking down there, as you guys will, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to this matchup.
He's Craig White. He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Hear him on the call tomorrow on Bally Sports of Lovejoy and Lubbock Cooper. Then hear him on the call on Saturday on the Texas Radio Network with Texas taking on Colorado State. And then I presume he's like doing an NFL's pregame show on Sunday, and then I don't know, he's the hardest working man in show business. Craig, appreciate it, my friend, and I will see you tomorrow night on Bally for High School Scoreboard Live.
I sort of say betwixt and between those two events I'm doing is me, you, and Aaron for Scoreboard Live. Looking forward to it.
We're back. Thanks, Craig.
Bye, Craig.
You bet.
There he goes. Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer. Going to join us every Thursday about 12:45 on Texas Football Today. We're thrilled to have him back because nobody knows high school football like that dude. So we're excited to bring him back for another season.